Bob.
I'm Bob Pascal, and this is another edition of Bob's Bullpen, special edition today. We normally do this, we normally shoot it on Saturday afternoon. We're shooting this one on Thursday afternoon. Last Saturday, everyone was up in Augusta, and this Saturday, a lot of people are going to be in Bangor, and that's why we're shooting this on Thursday. You might be seeing it before the game Saturday night, you might not. With me, a couple of our usual suspects, in addition to some special guests, Professor Tom Nickerson. Still trying to figure out what he's a professor of, but that's okay.
Well, I always hate to be sitting in the library. They're a very depressing place.
Yeah.
It seems like the books are always in tears and the windows are always in pain.
When I got to school, they said, "There's the library kid, don't get hurt." So, I'm not totally comfortable in it either. And Ryan Layton,
Hello.
who is our high school correspondent and specialist in our high school sports. And Ryan has brought with him 3 special guests today. Ryan, you want to introduce them?
Certainly. I'm Ryan Scoop Layton. You didn't say my nickname, Bob.
I didn't know if you liked the nickname Scoop.
Do that
You
again.
told me you didn't like it. I thought it was
I'm
good.
Ryan Scoop Layton.
Girls, what do you think? Is that a good nickname, Scoop? I think it's a good nickname.
Now, Bob calls me Ryan Scoop Layton. And here with me today, I have the lovely Lady Seahawks, captains of the 2013 team. They were generous. They came on today, and I wanted to talk with them because they had one heck of a season this year.
Sure did.
And next to me, I have senior captain Sarah Karen. In the middle, we have Alex Clark. And then on the end, or in the middle right there, we have Allison Crocker. And these ladies had one hell of a season. I can say hell, right? On
Yeah,
Channel
sure.
7. All right, cool. One hell of a season on Channel 7. And they went to the Civic Center, and they made it to the semifinals, and they played against Waynfleet. And unfortunately, they fell just short. But it was a heck of a game, and it was really hard to watch them lose because I enjoyed watching and covering this team a lot this year. And I'd like to say, for the first time on this show, there are more youth on this show than seniors. So that's a good thing, right?
That smacks of age discrimination, which I believe is federal,
Wow.
Scoop. You're playing with trouble now.
Okay, all right. And on the other hand, I also want to show you, I have an official, this is pretty cool. They have swag. They have some really cool swag that Tanner got them. They got the Seahawks swag. I got the Boothbury Register swag right here. How's that? Pretty nifty, huh?
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Styling.
That looks good.
Yeah. If you're good, I might even get you.
No, that looks good. I like
Okay.
that. That looks good.
Yeah. So I'm going to start wearing that. I'm going to rep that hard. I'm sorry. I'm being really irrelevant right now. But anyway,
We should have mentioned, Ryan, that we tried to get Coach on today, but he's got a sore throat and
yeah,
he's not feeling
we
up
wanted
to par.
we wanted to talk about Tanner because Tanner got the NBC Coach of the Year. He's
Wow.
turned this team into a championship caliber team. He's a very impressive coach, and he said he had a sore throat. He's laying low so he can go up to Bangor for the state game. But enough about me, enough about everything else.
We
Let's,
do have to get Tanner on the show, though.
We do,
And
definitely.
I know Tanner is very, very modest. He's very, very self-effacing.
Yeah,
but
that's
we got to
true.
get him on. Community
will.
wants to hear from him.
We will. But let's focus on the Lady Seahawks, if we can. I guess we'll start it right off the bat with a question. What are your thoughts of this season, now that it kind of wrapped up? What are your initial thoughts?
I think it was an overall really solid season. The girls really enjoyed themselves, and we worked really hard to get to where we were and where we hoped that we would get past and keep going to get the gold. But we fell short, like you said, but it was a really solid season, and I had a lot of fun working and playing with
It was a
these
good
two.
senior year season.
Yeah,
It was a
it
good
was-
way to go out.
Definitely a good way to go out.
Being number 1 regular season was a good way to go out.
Yeah, how many
Yeah.
how many games did you guys win straight until Waynfleet? It was like
14, I think.
yeah, I think it was
Oh, straight.
straight.
14 straight.
14
yeah.
straight wins.
Total.
They lost 2 early off in the season, and from the rest of the season they won 14 straight games. Unfortunately, they played Waynfleet. Waynfleet they beat earlier in the season at the I think it's the Capital City Classic. Unfortunately, they have a point guard on Waynfleet named Martha Verano, who is ridiculous. She last season she broke a tournament record. She scored 47 points, or I think.
Yeah.
36 of those points came from 3-pointers. And the previous record, I want to indicate, the previous record for most points in a tournament game was held by Katie Sibley with 45 points before that. So Verano took that out last year. And so this year, Verno was up to her old tricks again. When she came in, she just started scoring again. When she started doing that, were you guys like, here we go again? Like, what were your thoughts about that?
Well, we tried to contain her the best that we could. We knew that once she gets on a roll, she doesn't stop. If she's down, she'll explode. She'll actually go crazy. Tanner has told us before that they were down by, I don't know, like 30? Was it 30 or so? And she just came out and she was nuts and she just scored, and then they were up by it was like a 5-point difference. So we knew that if we didn't contain her and try to keep her from making those shots, that it'd be the same thing as last year.
The problem with Waynefleet is that all of them can shoot, though, too. So, if you focus too much on Martha Verno, but then the rest of them knock down threes, too.
Brianna Jackson.
They have other girls out there shooting.
And I watched that.
threes.
You guys would cover her on the perimeter, Verno, and then she'd dish it off to the side, and then Jackson would hit a three.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what makes them a good team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was tough to watch you guys lose because it's happened so rare. Your confidence and your poise stayed strong throughout. It was sad to see you guys disappointed at the end, but you guys were met with an escort, fire truck escort, when you guys got back into Wiscasset. What were your thoughts on that?
That was amazing.
Yeah.
We, as soon as we turned around and saw the lights, Brent Barner actually got onto our bus and he was like, "This one's for you guys." And we kind of just lost it from there. We just started crying. It was just amazing. It was something that we've seen before happen to championship teams, and the community just gave that to us, and it was just the best thing that they could have done.
I
We
think
thank them.
I think all we've wanted our freshman years to be in one of those, and since we fell short this year, it was nice to get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have all three of you guys played together since freshman year?
Yeah.
Basketball?
Since 7th grade, I think.
Yeah, since
Yeah.
7th.
Since 7th grade? So you guys have a great chemistry together and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was evident. The go back to the escort, I think that was first started when teams would come back to Booth Bay by the fire department. And I think, looking over here on this side of the table, I think this guy right here was responsible for the first fire truck escorts.
Actually, I was involved in it. We won't say how many years ago, but it's became a tradition here in the region. It's a great thing, and when you go up there, number one, you deserve an escort back, even if you lost the first game.
Thank you.
And you girls did a wonderful job.
I just have difficulty with phrase falling short. So these girls didn't fall short at all.
They were grounded
But
by the Flyers.
They they did a great job from beginning to end. I know the whole community was very proud of them. I can't think of this team as having fallen short.
No, and definitely not. And to go along with Merritt, what he said, that these girls are Maine-based, homebred, and a lot of people have some conflict with private schools coming into our league because obviously they can recruit people from out of state that can, shoot 47 points in one game. So that's kind of a thorn, but they played really well. Waynefleet played really well, and they're going on to the championships, right?
Yeah.
So
It's better to lose to a team that's going to win the states than
Right.
any team.
If we were to lose, if any team was to cut our season short,
They scored lopsided wins after the Booth Bay game.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I think Booth Bay was Waynefleet's biggest challenge.
Yeah, they easily beat Madison, so.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was weeks of preparation, so it was kind of a bummer that we lost after everything that we knew and learned about them. But for sure, we were prepared regardless. They
Yeah,
just
we couldn't have
happened to
gotten
have the
more
better
prepared.
players. We couldn't have.
When you talk about being prepared, I'd be very interested in hearing you talk about your coach. Talk about him.
Well, Tanner is.
He did a synergy analysis on Martha Verno.
It's there's this paper of everything that Martha does. It's her percentage of if she shoots off a dribble, if she shoots off a pass,
He had
and it's crazy.
He scouted her.
5 games calculated, and she had a 38%. I think it was I don't know. All of her percentages were really, really high. It was just incredible, and it was just built almost like the back of a food label. It was precise. It was accurate. It was neat. She just had I don't know. He was just he built
made
that
sure,
for us.
He made sure we went in knowing what we were getting ourselves into.
Oh yeah.
Well, he also appears to have gotten you to really buy in, not just you, but the whole team to really buy into his program. What makes him so effective? What makes him such a good coach? You've talked about his preparation and so forth, but there must be something else to get everybody to buy into what he does and the relationship he has with his team.
We just think he knows what he's doing.
He does know what he's doing. The word that comes to mind would probably be determined, motivated. He's extremely passionate about basketball, the game. It's been around him all his life. I mean, that interview that they showed on the news the other day with him when he was little, and he was he was talking about how he wants to be an NBA coach. I think that's incredible, and he can still do that for sure. I mean, he just knows so much about the game. He's just such an inspiration to us, and he just got us so into the game with how motivated he was towards it. So,
Would you say he was a tough coach, demanding coach?
he was serious at times. He told us when to do things, but we have such high levels of respect for him that we would be quiet. We would do what we were told, and if we didn't, we ran. But it was all beneficial in the end. So,
Did he have a lot of rules?
yeah,
He expected a
Yes.
lot of us.
curfew
Yeah.
call at 10.
Oh yeah.
Typical. I mean, we got to get some rest for the games, big games, be ready. You know, it's just respect everyone.
But we
Pick
had
up
fun
everyone.
at the same time. We always had fun with him.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Going back to the coaching, out of your 4 years, how many different coaches did you have? You had Wolotsky before Tanner. Was
Two.
it okay? It was just Wolotsky before that. Okay, and so how was Tanner different than Wolotsky? You think?
I felt Wolotsky was more motivational. He didn't prepare us as much for games like Tanner did. Tanner was more
we were going
organized.
out there like we were going out there, motivated to win, but we didn't We
Have a
sometimes
game
went in
plan.
like blindsided, I guess.
Yeah.
But we never went in that way in a game with Tanner.
Did Tanner prepare you for every type of like offense?
Everything.
that the
Oh, yeah.
team,
He
other teams
scouted
would play?
every team that
Right.
we played. So.
Yeah.
Like the night before.
Gave us scouting reports.
Yeah. Or the day before, like a Sunday, if we had a game on a Monday, he would go in, we'd have a shoot around, and we'd run over some of our plays, and then he'd be like, their point guard is this person, this number, she does this, but she slashes off the ball, this person's here, he'd place all five, then he'd tell us exactly what we need to do to face their offense. But not only did we learn what we needed to do, we learned what they do. So no matter what, we knew exactly what they did on almost every single play, every team in the whole league. So,
And that worked
oh yeah.
for most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
You guys beat teams and you beat them pretty handily.
Mm-hmm.
You had a couple close calls with Madison and stuff, and,
Oh, yeah.
and you had some other teams that gave you difficulties. Wayne Fleet was obviously one of them. But as far as your future careers in basketball, you're all going to college, I presume?
Yep.
You're all going to play college ball?
Yep.
Have you guys figured out what colleges yet?
Do you want me to start?
Sarah has.
We'll start with Sarah.
Well, I plan on attending Wheaton College in Norton, Mass. And Melissa Hodgson, the former 1,000-point scorer of Booth Bay, she's going to be my coach, and I plan on playing for her.
She was on this program.
She was?
Yeah, she played. The coach of that team was Landry. Mr. Landry was coach
Oh,
of that
yeah.
team,
Yeah.
and she appeared on our show a couple of years ago. Well, that's great. I'm sure she's good.
Yeah.
She's been there a few years now. Good
I'm
coach.
incredibly excited.
Yeah.
She's
Do you
been there
girls know
10
where you're going to
years.
school?
I don't really know where I'm going yet, but I do plan on playing basketball, I guess, wherever I end up.
I think I'm gonna go to Farmington, and I'd like to play basketball.
We're not as prepared.
Sorry.
Well, what do you think? I like you individually. What do you think you derived out of the experience of this team, being a part of this team? What'd you get out of it?
Everything. They're just incredible girls. So
What'd you get out of it? Fun?
Yeah.
A sense of accomplishment? Anything
Oh,
else?
definitely accomplishment. Like, even though we lost in the semifinals, we finished the season #1 seed. So, I don't know, it's just a good feeling. And all my best friends are on that team. And so it's sad to see us leave.
Was it fun?
Yeah.
What made it so? What made it fun?
I think
We
all
love the
got-
sport.
Yeah, we all love it, and we got along so well. And I think, honestly, having a winning season and being successful time after time, it makes it
Yeah.
more of an experience.
Because I remember my freshman and sophomore year, like, our sophomore year was better, but I did not have nearly as much fun because
oh yeah.
it was just stressful going into every game.
We definitely got a whole new sense of focus because when we weren't focused, I mean, Tanner said we were a hard team to get mad at because we're so like fun together and we always have fun and just Allison would crack a joke and just Tanner's face would go from like medium to just smiling, all smiles. So definitely learned a new sense of focus for sure. He gave us that and we just all learned to work hard and work together, and as a team, you can accomplish anything with the
Ta-
right people.
Tanner gets that we're not a serious group of girls too, and so he knows how to work with
we
us.
want to be.
Yeah, I talked to Tanner one time. He said at a practice that we've been preparing all week, and we've been doing a lot of drills, but on the other hand, it's been a lot of fun as well. We always have a lot of fun at our practices, and it seems like he maintained that throughout the season. And he did a lot of events with you guys. He'd bring you guys to Red Claws games and stuff.
That was
and
amazing.
He always took care of you guys, and he bought you guys the swag. I think you're wearing one of your swag. Is that? Yeah, the swag. What is that? Strong will achieves greatness.
Yeah,
right?
strong will achieves greatness.
Right. Go ahead, Tom.
I was going to ask that question if they had to describe their career in one word, what would it be? It's obvious it was fun.
Oh yeah.
So my question now is, you all meet at your 10-year reunion. Is there any event, and we can cut this, but is there any one particular event that you would talk about in 10 years from now that occurred as a team?
Well, that Wainfleet game, I mean, that was pretty brutal.
Well, this could be something that Tanner didn't know about or any other coach.
I don't know.
I honestly think the escort, that was...
Yeah.
none of us were expecting that, so it was just...
The escort or that Dirigo game that put us in first place.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And
That
that was
That was a
incredible.
good feeling.
Even the NBC game,
There was also...
even though we lost.
Did you guys
But,
have
I mean, it was just...
Did you have a favorite team that you love to play or beat or like you brought?
Winthrop was pretty fun.
Yeah, right. The pounding you guys.
I mean, we
did.
played them once, but I really like playing Madison just because
Yeah, actually.
it's a good feeling to be a good team.
And it's challenging.
And it was nice to beat up on Halldale this year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Halldale, if you guys don't know, had what was it, Caroline Wolfington?
Yeah.
She plays for Kobe now. She was a prolific scorer, and
They won 3 games.
they went to the finals last year, and everyone thought they would take states, but I think they lost last year.
Yeah.
It did.
So.
If I was on the bus coming home with you after a game, could I tell whether you won or lost by the mood on the bus?
Yes.
Well,
I don't think so, actually.
Before we get to McDonald's, yes. But after, we're fine.
Sometimes, I mean, sometimes you can. Where there's like a little moment of silence, but then it's just like that after the game. You have those few minutes of there's something I could have done better. Like you work on things. We set goals on the bus on the way there. In the beginning of the year, it kind of faded, but in the beginning, we set a lot of goals for each other on what we're gonna do, like team goals and everything. And people, it's kind of that time after when you get on the bus where you think about like what you could have done better and what you did well, and then it's just like just almost right off the mood switches. We're like, we're going to McDonald's.
Yeah.
That was good. Like we have next game, next play is what we've always been taught. So
It's hard to say regular season, too, though, because we only lost 1 away game.
Exactly.
So.
So you know
but the
we're all
prior
pretty
years,
happy.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd like to bring attention to is that I was always on the sidelines of doing photography, and they're a very vocal crowd. Sarah Karen was probably one of the more vocal people. And even though they were losing, and we got down to the 2-minute mark in the Wainfleet game, and we knew that there would be no way we could win, Karen would be still encouraging her team vocally, and that continued on well after the game was over. And I wanted to commend you on that. That shows great leadership for all of you guys. You were great leaders for your team. And moving on now that you guys are going to be out of the Booth Bay program, what do you guys see in the Booth Bay team? What's going to happen? How do you think they're going to play from here on out?
Well, I mean, we have 2 freshmen that get some good minutes on varsity this year. So.
One's a starter.
Yeah. And then I think they'll be pretty
I
solid.
think they will. Height's gonna be a problem. Of course,
Ava
we have
Traynor will
6'1"
be.
Clark and 5.
Yeah.
What are you? Just
don't know.
really tall. I mean, Ava's definitely in there, but it'll be some retraining underneath in the post. I think we have a lot of perimeter players, a lot of dribblers, so a lot of the girls will definitely step it up.
But I mean, Morgan is
Oh yeah,
like
she's
5'6",
pretty
but she
tough
can
under
still
there.
pull moves.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would see the most violent things happening to Morgan throughout the season, and she would just get up and shake it off.
Yeah.
Tough girl.
But yeah, we are going to be losing some significant height with you guys, but we still have an arsenal of guards. We have McClellan, and she was great on the fast break. You have Morgan, of course, and Hannah Morley made a heck of an impression as a freshman. Great ball handler. Got to work on her layups and stuff and her offense, but throughout the next 4 years, next
Absolutely.
3 years, she'll be
Yeah.
pretty good.
I think speed will be their advantage definitely next year. A lot of those girls are little speed demons. They call them the rat up top because they tip those balls. We had a lot of steals this year, so I think that'll be beneficial.
As
for
good as
them.
you three girls are, it did seem like a team effort, and everyone contributed that was
I
out there.
think that's part of the reason why we were so good was because we had 7 people on the team that could be high scorers, and it wasn't just we had one standout player. It was everyone.
Did you find yourself socializing more with your teammates during the year than you might have otherwise?
Yes.
The same people on the team, your friends?
I think we
for the
all get a
most
lot
part?
closer during basketball season.
I think as a freshman we were all scared of the seniors, but the freshmen that came up to us like this year, and us as seniors, we get along with them fine.
Everyone's treated equally.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is there an amount of respect for the seniors?
Yeah,
There
there
is
is,
still,
but
yes.
it's not like they're scared of us.
Yeah.
Like-
We don't want that at all.
Do you girls play other varsity sports?
Yes.
What do you play?
Okay, do you want me to
you
start?
go first, yeah.
Okay. I run cross country. I used to play field hockey, and I played track and softball.
I do field hockey in the fall, and I used to do softball in the spring. I might do it again this year, but not yet.
I do field hockey in the fall as well. And I did track last year, varsity track. And I'm thinking about doing sailing this year, which should be really fun. I'm excited.
She did varsity track last year and learned how to throw the javelin. And then
2 months.
in 2 months she learned how to throw the javelin, and then she went to the States. And you got
Really?
what, second?
Mm-hmm.
She got
Wow.
second in the States, and then went on to the New England
Wow.
to throw a javelin. And that was your first time ever doing that?
That was. It was a little bit of luck. A lot of luck. Mr. Toshman was very supportive, but yeah, that was incredible.
But you're not gonna do track this year?
Well, because I want to go on and play basketball next year, the movements in track are really difficult on your shoulder, especially, and it's not like I'm babying it, but it's like I have a history of rotator cuff problems in my family, so I don't want to pull anything back and then not be able to shoot
So
straight. Anyway, like,
the reason I knew that she threw javelin is that I had the privilege today to sit down and dine with the lovely Wendy Karen, and her mother, Mrs. Jordan, is it?
yeah,
Yes.
that's my brother.
And she informed me of something. And one thing is that Sarah Karen here was a little dismayed in the register coverage that she didn't get a lot of photos of her. So I wanted to address that real quickly. I would be photographing the games, and I never had choice of what photos to use. It would always be Kevin Burnham handing me a photo of what to use in the right to
was
cut
funny.
line. And so on the deadline, I'd always get a photo, and it'd be Morgan Crocker. And I'm like, Morgan again? Seriously?
She did so well this
She
year.
did a lot of stuff, but where my camera was positioned, I would always be down low or to the left. And so I'd always have a picture of Morgan driving him to the left, because she always drives left, and
played
they're
the
patting in left
perimeter
hand.
and right side.
And you were a perimeter shooter.
Perimeter outside.
So I'd either have Morgan Crocker or I'd
Makes
have
sense.
Alex Clark, because she was just there, like underneath, like the big presence of Alex Clark. So I didn't get many photos of Karen
I was
because
just curious.
she was a perimeter
Don't worry
shooter.
about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to address it. And she has a really great shot where she drives a lane. It's like a Ray Allen like runner, and she just puts it up and it goes down. And that was an exciting thing to watch. And I do have a great photo of you three, and I have a great photo of in the Madison game where you had that dagger of a buzzer beater 3-pointer.
Oh,
I have you in that shot, and I have you at a
Oh,
wide
yeah.
angle right before you're about to put it up, and it sunk down, and like that's what put you guys ahead in the Madison game.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Now you say you dined, 'cause now who picked up the check? Who paid for lunch?
Oh, with Karen?
Yeah, who paid
Well,
for lunch?
then Sarah Morley came in, and we had this big long
Who
like.
paid for lunch, Stu?
I paid for it. All right, I paid for my own. Okay, all right.
I know, you
Jeez.
work with Kevin, who used to be on this show with me, and Kevin's known for being very tight-fisted. So I don't know if that's a policy.
Oh, he
that
runs
goes
it
around.
with a tight fist.
I don't blame him
Yeah.
because I know Lewis, but we won't get into that. He paid for lunch. Well, very good. The two highlights of our show always are Ryan's report on local high school sports and Professor Nickerson's feature, which we do every week. But Ryan, you wanted to segue right into your...
Well, that kind of was my report because I made it up on the spot. But on the other hand, we'll look ahead to the boys varsity. Are you guys going to go to Bangor?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We should mention that, because some people might be watching this show before they go up, there is a bus leaving school at 6 o'clock that night which they advise is free of charge.
And there's food.
Free of
drinks.
charge.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, someone donated that bus. I think they raised money for it. There was an article about it. I didn't get to read it,
well,
but
if anyone wants to, I don't know when,
Hawks. That's right.
contact the school office and you can get on that bus at no charge. It's going to leave here at 6 o'clock Saturday.
All right.
And
gonna
also the
leave.
boys are taking a custom coach out,
That's-
I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Did you say David have to the bus?
so you guys are going up to Bangor. Have you been up to Bangor before?
Yeah.
To the auditorium there?
Yep. I never have.
It's a very loud, intense place
It's
to play.
old.
It's very old.
The floor's kind of.
And interestingly enough, the boys have gone up there to practice this week. Interestingly enough, it's going to be the last game, Leave It to the Seahawks, ever played at the storied Bangor Auditorium.
They've gotten 10,000 people in there before.
Oh, yeah.
And our principal advised me that he's played some games there in his career.
I went to go see Obama speak there, and they wouldn't let me in.
Really?
Too many people filled it up.
Had
Yeah.
nothing to
And
do had nothing to do with your political views.
they looked at me and they're like, "We're not letting that kid in."
Kind of looked like a security risk.
Yeah, probably was. Probably was.
So you were going to talk about the boys' game, Ryan?
Yeah, we'll talk about the boys' game. Boys' game, they're going to be playing Panquist. Last time we played Panquist in the state finals was 2000, and we went in there with an undefeated record, and we lost to them. And that was devastating. I wrote an article about that this week. Panquist is still under the helm of the same head coach. Forgot his name because I don't care. But Panquist has always had a very strong Eastern program, basketball program. And they're going to be a tough team, but I think our team is pretty well prepared in getting out in transition and scoring a bunch of points. It will be one heck of a highlight for this community and for the team if they pull off the win in the States, because nobody thought that they would go that far this year. They're kind of an underdog team, and it even surprised Coach I.J. Pinkham. So do you guys have anything to say about this game? What do you guys
Other
think?
than good luck.
Do you guys have a prediction?
I think they got it.
I shouldn't say
After how they played in the Western Maine game, I think they should win. That was, I don't know if you saw it, but that was they played so well.
I
so.
can't picture our boys losing. Like,
Not at this point.
No.
They've fought hard for this, and they're just incredibly happy they're going. The coach bus is going to get them riled up. They're going to be there. Yeah, they're pumped. They're for sure pumped. So they're just going to go in with a clear head and focus on the gold. For sure.
Great. This would be the, if we do win this state, this will be the second gold ball for Coach I.J. Pinkham. First came in 2001. After that devastating loss, we beat the Piscataquis Pirates, and that was an intense game. That was the craziest game I've ever seen. My brother was on the team at the time, and I was a wee little lad. And in the stands, I'm still a little wee little lad. And I remember it came down to the last 20 seconds, and no one knew who was going to win the game. We were up by 1 point, and both teams were in the bonus, and they came out, and immediately off the inbound, Mike Tomaselli got the offensive foul called on him, which sent Piscataquis to the line, and they could have won right there. And Merrick Grover was literally pulling out his hair and throwing chairs and like, You called an offensive foul? How can you live with yourself, ref?
Wait a minute. We pride ourselves in being accurate. Merritt found fault with an official's decision.
Yeah.
I find that hard to
I
believe.
believe that.
And so they could have won. Piscataquis could have won right at that point. And I remember watching the ball leave the hand, and it went up half a second later, rimmed out, and Bob Dejan grabbed the rebound, and he got fouled. And so they switched the tables on him. He went to the foul line, sunk both free throws, and then we ended up beating him 71-66. And I just remember the vivid memory of everyone swarming the court. And Merritt was up on the top of the stands.
I watched this.
This is defying. He defies physics here. Merritt was way up there with the camera, and once they won, you could hear him screaming, Seahawks won the gold ball, and everyone's going crazy. 4.1 seconds it took him, and you see him down in the swarm of it. He jumped down. I don't know what he did. He must have leapt over people. He must have just got down there, but he got down there, and
Body
as did I.
surfed.
He must have crowd surfed. Yeah,
Body
you can do
surfed.
that in there.
So I
Merritt-
hear his headphones
Merritt
drop.
gets excited at the game.
Oh, I think a little bit, yeah. I think a little bit.
Now, you know, we pride
always
ourselves
known
here
him as
in
a
this
composed
community
man.
on the sportsmanship awards that Booth Bay has won. And when you make the phrase, the other coach, I don't care what his name is.
I know. I shouldn't say
That's
that. The
not-
only reason
that's not in line.
the
with
only reason why I
sportsmanship
said that is because we did do an interview with him, and when we interviewed him on Monday about Penquist and what he thought, he said, quote unquote, I felt so bad for Boothbay when we beat them that time because we were undefeated and we were slated to win the state championship. So the only reason why I said I don't care is because out of my own ignorance, I don't know who the coach is. I didn't follow it. So I apologize about that. And as far as good sportsmanship goes, that year in 2001, the next year, not only did we win the gold ball, but we won the best sportsmanship award. And we pride ourselves on that. And when we go into the gymnasium, you'll see all our sportsmanship awards.
And that says a lot about our coaches. That says a lot about our coaches and our fans, I think, too.
Yeah.
There's probably a good reason for not letting you in to see Obama.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that story for another time.
Do you have a prediction? You're our expert. Do you have a prediction on the game, Scoop?
I've read some reports, and I don't want to get myself excited, prematurely, but I have a good feeling, out of all the crap that we've had to put up with, that Boothbay will come out on top this time. And it will be a heck of a story when we do that. And if we don't, then we'll just cut it out. We'll just cut this portion of the film out. But what are your predictions? Do you have a prediction?
I think they're going to win.
I think they'll win. I really do.
What about you, Bob?
Do you know much about Penquist Valley?
Do I know about what?
Our opponent?
Penquist?
Penquist,
Yes.
I pronounce it.
There are a couple scorers, I believe. Pelletier is one of them.
They have some kid named like Isaiah Best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Player of the year or something.
Yeah. But as far as offensive schemes go, I talked with Ian McConnell, and he seemed to think that it's an easier way to win a game in high intensity when we get points in transition. That's what he seemed to think.
It's hard to judge the Eastern champs on the record because we don't know much about the caliber of play of the Eastern teams. We do know about the caliber of the Western teams, which would lead you to believe that Boothbay should be the favorite. But we don't know that much really about the kind of competition that the Eastern teams face.
Have you read anything? You read a lot of
I read
sports.
your because you're the expert.
Oh, okay.
I did go online and under the heel points you can look at each team's record.
Yeah.
Penquist won a game 60-15 and another one like 80-27. That tells me, during the regular season, that competition was not anything like Boothbay will give them on Saturday night. So in a close game, I think, no question, Boothbay will win. You can send any player out and score 40 points, but if you've got two players that score 20 apiece and another two score 13 and 15, you're not going to beat that. And that's what Bullpen has done on a regular basis all season. They're a balanced team. They look like they want to win. And I think Bullpen will come out on top.
We'll see.
I agree with that. There's some uncertain elements because we don't know how each team's played. They never faced off against each other. But we have such a balanced offense. We have DeMoro that can cut and get the ball to people, but they won't. If we get it to Hepburn, they won't cover Hallinan or they won't cover Link. So I think we'll have all different ways that we can kind of penetrate in the offensive side, and I think that will be much to our benefit.
I'm thinking about 1:30 in the morning. I'm going to be hearing a siren outside.
I'll be there filming it.
One thing about the Penquist coach that I found out the other day, and it's kind of a local connection.
What's his name, Tom? See?
I don't know his name. Dick Spofford was telling me one season during his high school career he went to MCI, and the Penquist coach was his coach at MCI.
Spofford went as far as high school?
He played a few basketball games. And that's part of the reason he said he would love to go up and see it, because he was coached by this guy for one season. He likes the guy, and we'll see what comes out of it. But
Okay.
there is a local connection there.
Well, that's good. Good report. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
I'd like to thank the Lady Seahawks for coming on. We've enjoyed watching everything you've done this season. Your commitment, your dedication, your leadership is something.
I think the whole community's proud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Each week, Professor Nickerson gives a feature. Frequently, it's offbeat and out of touch. don't be afraid to give your real reaction. I don't know what he's going to say, but it's usually something
Well,
very offbeat. Don't be afraid to give your honest reaction to it. What's it going
It's,
to be this
it's
week?
funny, I had prepared this long before I realized that these young ladies were going to be here. But my report tonight is about the tourney. I've watched it for close to 50 years now. And there is definitely family tradition in what happens in the basketball tourney. If you've learned anything about Jonesport Beals, they're a Class D team from way down in Washington County, but every year they seem to be there. And every year you hear names like Beals and Alley, year after year. As far as Booth Bay goes, there's names like Spofford, which it might not be still Spofford, but it might be Simmons. There's the family connection there. Crocker. That's been there for 3 generations right now that I've seen. There seemed to be some lady, I think she played for some team down around Cumberland that I went to schools to. And when she came in, her last name was Story.
Oh,
You don't know her, do you?
oh, I think I do.
Jordan, the first state championship football team was quarterbacked by a last name of Jordan. You wouldn't know who that might be.
No.
Cheerleading, basketball, another family name might be Miller. But it's always been a tradition. Supporting the team has been a tradition here. You're seeing signs go up every day around town, which is a great thing. Back in the 60s and 70s, when I was in high school, Sports Central was Mallow's Barbershop, Cody's Barbershop. Now it's Grover's Hardware, Hammond Lumber. One of my favorite places to hear about sports was Caboni's, which is now,
I ate lunch there with Miss Wendy Karen today.
well, yeah.
Now
But
Bill's
when
market,
it was
but-
Caboni's,
That's why you picked up the bill.
Yeah.
you could get down there and hear about any sport you wanted to. Of course, Bobby Caboni has had, this is the 3rd generation coming through now, but he was always talking sports. One of the things that I remember as a kid down there, Coca-Cola, probably when I was 8 or 9 years old, always had these sheets. And inside Coke caps, they had pictures of football players. And if you glued all the caps on, then you could take them to the cola distributor. I think it was up in Augusta. And Gene Caboni, when I was a kid, would always, this is when they had a Coke case that had cold water in it. And you'd pull the bottle out. I think you remember this, Bob. Probably no one else here does. And you'd pop the cap off and it dropped down into a container. Well, Gene would always take and pull that out. And if you can imagine it, when you pop that cap, there'd be quite a bit of soda drip down into the caps and stuff. He'd take it out and just dump it in the middle of the floor and let me paw through it and get the Coke caps I wanted and stick them to the sheets. Well, I must have had a dozen sheets, took them to Augusta, and they had, I don't know, footballs and football jerseys, this, that, the other. And I cashed them in, got all these prices, thought, this is great. If you go on eBay now and anyone's got any one of those sheets, they're going from $1,000 to $1,200 a piece. And I traded for, a $5 football.
Right.
But one of the other stories I've got about down at Caboni's, and I still haven't figured this out, and you might fill me in on it, was Louie, the meat cutter. I don't know if you remember him or not.
I don't.
Well, I got a couple stories to tell about Louie. And one of them was your grandfather, Bobby, took him to a game in the Cumberland County Civic Center. And Louie is sitting there, and he was from the old country of Italy, and he had quite an Italian accent. He said, "Hey, Bobby, what time of the jump ball?" He was at a Maine Mariners game. They were playing hockey. The other one is quite a bit to do with Maine sports history. I understand Bobby took him up to the, what's now the Coliseum in Lewiston, to the Clay
It was the
Liston,
Central Maine Youth Center then,
to the Clay Liston fight.
1964,
Oh, okay.
65.
Okay,
I've only heard about that on Mad Men.
well,
I've heard about it.
Louis, just before the fight started, Louis decided he wanted a hot dog. So he goes out, gets his hot dog, puts whatever he wants, mustard, ketchup, and relish on it.
Yeah.
Comes back in, everybody's walking out.
Yeah.
He said, "Bobby, where'd they go? What's going on?" Well, the fight only lasted 57 seconds.
Right.
While he was getting a hot dog, the fight occurred and was over. So he missed the whole thing.
What he's talking about is Muhammad Ali and Sonny Liston came and fought in Lewiston, right?
Yeah, they had a rematch
The-
for the heavyweight championship of the world.
That's right. Go
First
ahead.
of all, you had to consider that we're talking about 1964, 65, one of those 2 years, I forget which. Boxing was probably the second biggest sport professionally in this country as far as fans were concerned. The National Football League wasn't big. Basketball, no one watched. Boxing was, and the heavyweight championship fight, the only thing that was that big in this country was the World Series. Heavyweight championship fight was really big stuff. If you could imagine a Super Bowl being played in a little small town,
In Lewiston, Maine.
in Lewiston, Maine.
Yeah.
Now you got it in a 3,400 seat ramshackle building. It's ramshackle at the time. It's not anymore. And so this World Heavyweight Championship fight, this Super Bowl, is in the Central Maine Youth Center in Lewiston, Maine, which was completely unheard of. The reason that it came about was that Cassius Clay, a.k.a. Muhammad Ali, had refused to report for induction when he was drafted into the service. And he was charged with the crime of evading the draft, beat it eventually by, the court found that he was a religious, conscientious objector, I should say. But he was very, very, very unpopular. At that time, it wasn't a good idea to dodge the draft. And as a result, the fight, which had been scheduled in Madison Square Garden in New York, which is where you'd expect a fight of that caliber to be held, they wanted no part of it because he was so unpopular. He was a leper. So in the last 3 weeks, they quick had to find a place to have this world championship fight. Lewiston, Maine was about the only bidder, and that's how that all came about. That was it's hard to imagine now, but if you can imagine a Super Bowl being played in
Lewiston, Maine.
in Lewiston, Maine, that's what it amounted to.
And speaking of which, you're going to see on Saturday evening the tournaments in Eastern Maine switch from one building to another.
Yeah, where they had it in new place.
Basically across the street.
Yeah.
But
Hollywood Slots.
well, they're building a new auditorium there, and it'll be ready for next season. But I've seen the Western Maine Championships go from the Lewiston Armory, which, I don't know, it's a big old brick building. Jimi Hendrix played there one night. Then they moved it to Edward Little High School in Auburn, and finally to the Augusta Civic Center. So, in the time I've been watching the tournaments, it's gone from 3 buildings. Eastern Maine has been in what they call the Mecca since, I believe, 1958, something like that. You're going to continue to see changes on, obviously probably by the time you're my age, Augusta Civic Center will be defunct and gone. But, there's still memories in every one of those buildings. One of my greatest memories of the Lewiston Armory is, I believe it was 1967. Booth Bay had a team that went to the Western Maine Championship. And I won't mention any names here, but unfortunately, the Western Maine Championship was supposed to be played on Saturday night, as it always is. We had a huge snowstorm, so they canceled it.
In Maine, huge snowstorm.
They delayed the game for a week.
Huh.
Booth Bay continued to practice, our leading scorer, I won't say what happened, but somehow he shoved his arm through one of the pieces of glass in the cafeteria doors downstairs in high school. Like on a Thursday night.
Why?
I won't make any comments,
Okay. All right.
okay? You know what happens.
Okay.
And for some reason, the number 52 sticks in my head, but he had 52 stitches in his shooting arm. And they played Old Orchard, I think it was that Friday late afternoon the following week. He played, and he was still Booth Bay's high scorer with 15 points, but they lost by like 5.
Wow.
But another factor that goes into that, and some of those teams back in the 60s and 70s, would go into the tournaments with like a 14-4 record. Had the three-point shot been in effect in those days, they would have gone in undefeated. There's a lot to be said about what's happened in 40, 50 years in basketball. The three-point shot has made a huge difference.
We've been here a lot longer than me, Tom. Historically, Booth Bay, those boys teams have lacked height, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you say the three-point shot being more important, not as great a disadvantage
it is,
in size
right.
when you can.
Right. And the three-point shot can bring you back from, a deficit real quick.
Yeah.
A couple of those, and you're right back in it.
While you're mentioning performances at the Central Maine Youth Center in Lewiston, now the Colisee, the high school teams there, which were always big in hockey, used to play their high school games in that building. And I understand one of the outstanding young hotshot goalers in those days that played regularly at that building was Dave Landry.
That's what happened to him.
And Dave also played hockey at the University of Maine and was a goaler. And the goalers did not wear masks in those days, which will tell you a lot about how Landry got the way he is now, but we won't get it. We'll let that one go. Well, that's it. See, you provide historical perspective. And I'm sorry now I made those nasty comments about you.
And I'm
These
sorry I
young
made
ladies
the
never thought they would come into history class, did they?
Okay. And speaking about the names, I watched Alan and Eddie Crocker go through and play their ball here. Alan, state champion wrestler 2 or 3 times?
3.
3 times state champion wrestler. Eddie was a good ball player. Still a pretty good ball player.
I have always maintained, and I'd like to see what you girls think of it. I say Booth Bay basketball begins down below the hill in the YMCA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've watched these kids come up through the stages. You watch them for 2 or 3 years, you can say, this one's going to be good, that one's going to be good.
But doesn't that have a lot to do with the programs we over there? And we had Eddie on the
There's-
show a couple of
there's
weeks ago. He does a
excellent
terrific
programs
job,
over
as
there.
did his predecessor.
I'd also like to mention that I believe you're coaching, right? One of the leagues down
Yeah, we
there?
have a practice shooter in tonight, coaching 8th grade travel team. We have a couple tournaments this weekend, so.
But that development of the kids playing basketball at the Y, that's a community. I mean, there's so many people that contribute to that.
All 3 of
Yeah.
us coached a team.
All 3 of them, see?
Oh, at the Y
Yeah.
League,
Right
yeah.
here.
So you're passing it on.
Yeah.
And it's girls like you that the younger girls look up to. They want to do what you've accomplished. They do.
I can't knock your report today. It was a good report.
Thank you.
Good job, Tom.
So we got to. We'll see what happens with the boys when we come next week. We'll be able to talk about that. We still got to get Tanner on the show, and maybe we'll also be lucky enough to get some of the boys on the show and Coach Pinkham too. Been on before, so that would be nice. We appreciate it. You have fun?
Yeah, had a blast.
Talked a lot. Good. See you next week.
Go Seahawks.